Imagine a man in a rough, roaring, smoke-filled age who never raises his voice, yet makes all of America's politicians hold their breath and listen to his every move. Short in stature, impeccably dressed, he wears a forever unfathomable smile, as if he has already seen through every script of the world. They call him the Red Fox of Kinderhook, for he slips through the cracks of power like a shadow, claiming his prey without a single scratch. Martin Van Buren, a name synonymous with modern American political strategy. Tonight, by the soft glow of a flickering fire, let us enter his real life, a story that needs no effort to remember. What we will see is not a stiff presidential portrait, but a tragic genius who wove webs in secret chambers, hid loneliness behind smoothness, and was finally abandoned by the very machine he built. The cold chill of fate that arises when extreme calculation collides with the cruelty of the times is perfect for drifting into dreams on such a quiet night. On this peaceful evening, follow me and listen to the truest, loneliest logic of power, hidden beneath flowery words. The story begins not on the grand Capitol Hill, but in a tobacco-scented, alcohol-thick tavern in Kinderhook, New York. Young Martin Van Buren grew up in this tavern, spending his days pouring drinks for grumbling, shrewd lawyers and politicians. In those dimly lit nights, he learned his greatest lesson. People are defined not by what they say, but by the desires they leave unspoken. Like a young fox, he curled in the corner, recording every exchanged glance, every battle of interest with his sharp eyes. He discovered that to rise in this world required not fists, but an invisible, precise political machine, and so he built the formidable Albany Regency in New York, the first true political machine in American history. He assembled scattered power like clockwork parts, controlling every promotion, every flow of funds. This obsession with logic made him extraordinarily smooth. He never spoke aggressively in public, yet always made his opponents vanish without a trace behind the scenes. When he finally pushed Andrew Jackson into the presidency, everyone realized the Red Fox had woven a net covering the entire nation. But he did not know that manipulating others was quietly cutting his emotional bond with the real world, turning him into a perfect, yet cold, political cog. In 1837, Martin Van Buren finally stepped from the shadows into the light, taking up the heavy baton as master of the White House. On his first day, he inherited not only Jackson's power, but also a financial storm powerful enough to destroy everything. It was the famous Panic of 1837. Banks collapsed, factories closed, and hungry crowds gathered in the streets of Washington. Van Buren still kept his signature elegance, silk shirts, fine silver dining, trying to project calm, yet the fatal flaw of the master strategist was that he trusted institutional logic too much and ignored the raw instinct of people struggling to survive. He stuck to the principle of small government, believing it should not interfere with the market's natural repair. Logically perfect, yet deeply cruel to human beings, people despaired of him, mocking him as Martin Van Buren, the man who bankrupted the nation. Late at night in the White House, watching the chaos outside, he felt the powerlessness of a broken machine for the first time. His political chips became worthless as waste paper in front of desperate, starving people. He wrote in his diary, "In this position, I feel not strength, but an unprecedented sense of exile. A fox may be clever, but when the whole forest is burning, even its nimble steps find no oasis to hide." Then Buren failed because he was too perfect a steward, not a leader who could feel others' pain. The 1840 election became the darkest moment of his life. His enemies turned his own invention, political marketing, against him. They painted him as a nobleman sipping soup with golden spoons and wearing perfume in the White House, while portraying their opponent as a common man of log cabins and hard cider. For Van Buren, who grew up in a tavern and spent his life fighting for ordinary people, this was an ironic, stinging misunderstanding. He discovered that the political propaganda machine he built, once filled with lies, became devastatingly powerful leaving him defenseless. He lost the election badly, not just his office, but the intellectual pride he had always cherished. On the day he left the White House, cold rain fell on Washington. He refused all farewell ceremonies and boarded the carriage home alone. On the journey, watching the wilderness pass by, he replayed every battle in his mind, searching for the fatal flaw. But he slowly realized the real flaw was not in his strategies, but in his overly rational heart. He was so used to calculating people's hearts that he forgot how to care for them. This disconnection was the source of his lonely later years. In retirement at his Kinderhook estate, Martin Van Buren lived as an elegant ghost forgotten by time. He still followed every shift in politics, even attempting a comeback as a Free Soil candidate in 1848, yet he knew it was only final stubbornness. In his fields, he trimmed bushes with the same care he once used to cut down his rival's power. In old age, he grew quieter. He read widely in philosophy and religion, searching for something more stable than power. He once told an old friend, "Politics is a game of shadows. When you grow old, you only want to find the one casting the shadow." This Red Fox enlightenment carried the desolation of a ruined legacy, yet also the clarity of complete letting go. He watched the party he built fall apart, his former apprentices go separate ways. No anger, only fatalistic peace. He walked his hometown soil, thick with the same dust as the tavern of his childhood, feeling a long-lost belonging. He was no longer the gambler calculating odds at every moment, but simply an old farmer waiting for harvest at sunset. This retreat from power let his once gloomy soul shine with a soft glow in his final years. Martin Van Buren's story drifts on tonight's gentle breeze, leaving an echo of skill versus essence. He showed us the height of political cunning, and also its powerlessness before life's ultimate questions. He gave the quietest answer to the riddle of power in the preface. All calculations are eventually washed clean by the tides of time. The man called the Red Fox took no wealth or power with him, only honesty and peace with himself. Now close your eyes and imagine the old man reading quietly in his New York estate. Outside, ripe crops sway in the wind. Inside, pages rustle softly. All schemes have settled. The world can be complicated, always teaching you how to win. But tonight, learn how to let go. This letting go has become the softest rhythm in your ears, guiding you to a deep, carefree sleep. All logic is closed. All machines have stopped. Good night. On this complete and silent night, may your dreams hold only clear springs and peace without suspicion.